I only shoot females. It's not true, but I prefer to only shoot females, and this is why, let's be honest. Welcome back, ladies and jelly spoons. This is Confessions of a Photographer part 3, I think. Yeah, definitely part 3. So this is going to be another controversial one. It wouldn't be worth talking about, would it, really? Let's be honest. I only shoot females. I know many female photographers who prefer to shoot females. I've only ever really had one photographer in the studio who enjoys shooting men over women, and that is her preference every time. I've had plenty of photographers who don't mind shooting either, and then there are still a majority who typically prefer shooting women. And as a guy, I don't find men amuse. I look at myself, pasty white dude in the mirror, a bit chunky, doesn't interest me. I like the enigma, if that's the correct word. If I want to muse, I want someone who's different from me and interesting, and not something I wake up to every day. And that, of course, being a male, is a female. And I think most women and most guys would say that the female form is more aesthetically pleasing. And I hate to say it, but in the same way you take a picture of an attractive sunset, in photography you want to take a picture of an aesthetic vibe. And it's objectification, but that's exactly what it is. Unless you are telling a human story by using human people, then, obviously in fashion photography you're using someone as a mannequin, essentially just a walking mannequin. But typically it's an aesthetic art form that most people find attractive, and obviously some people are going to have an issue with that because the whole concept of only shooting women comes across as being seedy and sexist and God knows what. But the reality is, it's just a preference. Your favourite colour is pink rather than black is a preference. You prefer shooting women over guys is a preference. You prefer curly hair because the way it catches the light is a preference over shooting people with straight hair. All these little nuances, they don't need to be little niggly points that insecure people jump on because they are the other end of someone's preference. People are allowed preferences. There's no point in bitching about every little thing just because you don't get to be on this side and you on this side, because someone out there is going to prefer this side to that side. That is just life and reality, and unfortunately if you tend to be on the minority side of that, then you're going to feel hard done by. That's just the world we live in. But it's life, it's reality, it happens, it exists. So, do I prefer shooting women? Yes. Do I shoot men? Yes. As I said in a previous post, I can't remember if it's a Confessions or a Grind My Gears. If it's Grind My Gears, it may not even be up yet. I've had to shoot naked guys, like fully bollock naked for life drawing classes. I really don't care, it doesn't bother me. I go in there, I take the pictures, I sort them out, and I send them off. I get paid. That's all that matters, all it means to me. However, for a personal project, if I'm looking for a muse, unless I have a really strict narrative that requires a male element, then 9 times out of 10 when I'm thinking about ideas, they just tend to gravitate towards women. That's just how it is. I don't know, I just find women more interesting, an enigma, more fun to work with. Just is what it is. I have no interest in shooting guys particularly, but will I not shoot guys? No, of course I'll shoot guys. I don't care about not shooting guys, it doesn't bother me. But do I want to shoot guys for my own projects? Not a lot. Every now and then I have a narrative where I will specifically need a guy because it's part of the narrative and it wouldn't work without one. In much the same way, every now and then, as said earlier, you might want a girl with curly hair just because it suits the narrative or the look or the aesthetic that you're thinking about. It is just a parameter that is set by the job, by what it is you want to achieve. It doesn't have to be any more deep than that. I appreciate when you see guys with cameras, GWCs they call them, going on photography forums, going on Facebook, looking for TF shoots, and it's like, I only shoot women. You look at their portfolio and it's crap and it's just girls with their tits out. Yes, I understand. Then you can make somewhat of a snap judgment. You can make a generalisation. There's no smoke without fire. It pays to be a bit savvy and a bit intelligent about who you're choosing to work with that mindset. Your average guy who only shoots women like myself is not going to go on a forum and say, I only shoot women. But as a preference, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, if we're casting a shoot, we're probably going to turn down guys and be like, it's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a female for this. And we're talking about, like, this isn't theatre, this isn't pantomime. You can, of course, have like dames and stuff in pantomime and whatnot, but in a photo shoot you're going to need a female to play a female, a male to play a male. And dare I say it, in this day and age, regardless of what your opinions are, if it's a non-binary kind of narrative where you are talking about certain issues and whatnot and you need a non-binary person, that is fine. Trans, non-binary, it is irrelevant. It is all part and parcel of the narrative, but don't get it twisted. There is a narrative, there is a casting, there is parameters, and they need to be fulfilled by the correct person who can literally fulfill that narrative. And the only person who can make that choice is the art director, the person who made the casting, typically the photographer. So like I say, these are black and white kind of things. Like, you can imagine how bitchy and annoying it gets when it's subjective and people let their insecurities creep in and it's about the smallest thing. I've had people turn around to me and go, you can't, like, I've cast as a guy covered in tattoos. I've cast before for a female without tattoos, and I had someone covered in tattoos on Instagram going, that's hate, that's unfair, you can't judge people with tattoos, blah blah. I'm like, mate, I'm covered in tattoos. The role just needs someone without tattoos. No more complicated than that. The fact of the matter is, I don't want someone with tattoos. And it's just that simple. Why do people let the stupid shit get on top of them because they're pathetically insecure about it? You know, people are allowed a preference. People are allowed to fulfill a casting. Sometimes castings, if you've ever watched movies, I mean, you see it all the time. There's always like an actor who kept getting turned down for stuff, but told they would never make it, and then one day somebody believes in them and they make it, and that's absolutely fine. The people beforehand were justified in their preferences not to hire them, even if they're now smaller than that person who's made it, because that person didn't suit the vision, and that's fine. And every now and then you get your second, third, fourth, fifth choice, and you put them in a role, and you were like, nah, and they blow your mind. And you're like so happy that they fulfilled that role, even though you didn't see it in them, and they were kind of, wow, I've got no other choice. And then you get people who 90% of the time you're not sure about, you put them in a role and you're gutted that you ruined the shoot because it could have been so much better with the right person. And it is that simple. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. It just has to be the choice of the art director, of the photographer, of the person who's creating the casting. You don't need to take it personally. If you are taking things like that personally in this industry, don't be in this industry, because you are going to cry every time you get rejection. You're going to cry about every single little stupid thing, and it's just not going to be healthy for you. It's not healthy for me, because I have to reject people who are absolutely deluded, who have no sense of self, who don't understand their level. Like, this industry is subjective, but some people are undoubtedly up here and some people are down here. And quite often the people down here, because they are naive, think they're up here. And sometimes the people up here maybe have imposter syndrome, think they're down here. And you have to constantly deal with people who don't want to hear what you're going to tell them. And yeah, it can be a bit of a pain in the arse, and you do kind of have to sugarcoat stuff whilst being honest, because I refuse to not be honest. I will sugarcoat it and be kind of like, well, that's not kind of what I'm looking for. And then they will push, and then they'll get pissed off with you and go, rah, rah, rah. And then it comes to the point where you go, this is why, shut the fuck up. You're not good enough. And then if it comes to that, then it's their own fault, because they didn't give in and they brought it on themselves. It's not my problem. I'm just being honest. And this, unfortunately, is the downside of dealing with humans in any industry, I guess, but certainly in an industry that is subjective, and certainly in an industry where people's self-awareness is all over the place. And it's the thing is with photography, it's an industry where if you hone your eye and you have experience, the difference between knowing this level and this level to someone who doesn't know is, oh, it's an opinion. No, it's not an opinion. It's objective. You understand there are levels to get to this point, and they don't, and that's because they're naive and they're not experienced and they don't get it. And there's a lot of that in this industry who think they're up here, and it becomes very painful to talk about. And you have to kind of gradually, what's the word? You have to encroach the subject with a bit of delicacy, but at the end of the day, you still got to tell them no, and people don't want to be told no. And then if they kick off and it gets more and more and more, then problems occur, and then it becomes a ball ache for me. I don't want to piss you off, but you were determined to make me piss you off by not accepting the rejection. I get people who tell me that they're right for something because they believe so, and it's like, well, this isn't your shoot. You haven't got the mental pictures in your head because you aren't having the vision. It's my single solo vision. So unless you're unable to read my mind, I mean, you're probably at this point not even seen a mood board, and you're making assumptions. That's how naive you are. And you're telling me that I should be getting you for this, and this reason, when this and this reason is not even outlined or even considered, because you have no idea what it is I'm thinking, what I'm looking to achieve. And you get that all the time in this industry as well. But them's the breaks. That's what you got to do if you want to be a model. If you want to be a photographer, you're going to have some, no matter how good you are, no matter how bad you are, you're going to have some great experiences, you're going to have some shit experiences. And the fact of the matter is, you have to be quite thick-skinned and put up with that, and you have to ride the wave and accept the bullshit that comes with it, as people are going to attack you because they get their friends together and make bullshit about you online, or the polar opposite, and people are going to kiss your ass when you're pretty crap, especially in clicky forums and spaces. Why, first thing I do when I go on Purple Port is I get rid of the forum off the homepage, because I don't need to see people kissing each other's asses who are crap. I don't need to see people kissing each other's asses who are good. I just don't care. I take the photos that I take to see my vision out and make it happen. I don't take them for anyone else, which means the only person who knows whether I've fulfilled what I want to achieve is me. So people critiquing what I want to do, it doesn't matter to me. It's absolutely irrelevant. They may as well keep it to themselves. Most do, 90% of the time. Usually the ones that haven't got a clue what they're doing, who ironically think they know what they're doing, who tend to jump in and critique for the sake of critiquing because they think they're better and they have a voice and you need to hear their opinion, and the thing is they just haven't got a clue. Okay, this is a thing I say quite a lot, and this is quite an interesting one. This is my philosophy on photography. I always say that every photographer who gives a shit, who wants to learn, who wants to get better, reads the same books. They read about, you can feather like this, it's nice and soft, it makes it perfect. And there's some photographers out there who only ever feather, and they will make videos about, it's not correct, pointing a light at a model, you feather it across, you make it also. No, lighting is a tool, feathering is one of the tools, pointing at them is another tool. Ignore all the bullshit. At the end of the day, the tool you use is what fulfills the narrative, is what gives the narrative a vibe, makes it interesting. And like I said earlier, my philosophy is, it's not what you do right as a photographer, because everyone's read the same books, everyone knows the same lighting techniques. If they care, if they practice them, it's very easy to forget them and get complacent and get a bit lazy and, you know, just not keep your levels high. But at the same time, it's not what you do right, it's what you choose to do wrong. That is what makes a photographer have their style. So when you see a photographer who stands out from the crowd, who's interested and different, it's not because they're doing everything perfect, they're painting by numbers. It's because they are doing exactly what they want, how they want. And when all these people up here are polishing a turd and trying to make something completely boring, they're, you know, polishing a patina out of an antique that turns an antique from being into an antique with age and character into some over-polished piece of crap, you're there and going, no, I want that patina, and I'm going to push for it, I'm going to encourage it, I'm going to make it work, I'm going to use that narrative to show that this has age, that this has vibe, that this has attitude, that this is edgy. It's another thing I've always said, like edgier shoots, if you're using perfectly professional lighting to shoot an edgier shoot, then what you're doing is you're creating a lighting barrier between the person on the other side of the camera and the viewer. Typically in an edgy shoot, you want to kill that barrier. You almost want it to be like a voyeuristic, candid vibe where the line is a bit rougher, it's a bit edgy, it's a bit harder, where that person is allowed into the image, where they feel that, you know, this is a very real achievement. Because if you're doing fashion, high-end, editorial, sure, it's pretty, it's ridiculously aesthetic, you want that lighting barrier because you are supposed to look up to this amazing outfit and it needs to be sold to you as incredible. But if you were doing a edgy, relatable narrative or something that's down and dirty, you need to get through into the nuances of how that image feels, how that the story it's telling. If the story's dark, you don't want pretty lighting, you want dark lighting, you want it to be moody, you want it to be and if you want that person to be relatable, you need to take down those perfect lighting barriers and let the viewer in, stuff like that. So what is going to create you as a photographer as having your own style? Firstly, don't look for it. The saying is, if you have a fart and you have to force it, it's probably shit, right? So if you have to force having a style and a vibe, or you're overthinking it, overcomplicating and looking for it, then you're probably not going to find it. Honestly, just do you. Do you. If you don't know what you is yet, then you need to get more experience, keep chipping away, find what it is that you enjoy doing, say no to the things that you don't enjoy doing, and just keep going. And at the end of the day, you're going to hone your eye into something that you like, that other people don't, or other people do, and just your own genuine naivety from being complacent, from forgetting all the stuff you once knew, and bringing yourself down a level is going to create, along with the things that you choose to leave out, it's going to create your vibe, your style that sets you apart from everyone else. It's you would just find it. You don't need to go looking. It will happen. It will just happen, is the best way I can put it. So in conclusion, do I shoot only women? No, I don't. Do I prefer to shoot mostly women? Yes, absolutely. Am I going to apologise for the way I shoot what I do? Absolutely not. It is who I am. If I want to achieve something, then I will know straight away if it's not what I like. Unless I don't know what it is I'm trying to achieve, and that is the most frustrating thing for me. Sometimes I will do shoots and I try and avoid them. It's why I don't do family photography. It's why I don't do weddings, because I just don't care. It has no layers. It has no substance for me. I want to create something and I need to know what it is I'm creating, and then when I've done it and I've achieved it, then I know, then I'm happy because I know I've gotten what I set out to achieve, which is where I get fulfilled. I know photographers who absolutely hate working like that. They want to go into the studio and they want to see what happens and where it goes, and that excites them and that spontaneity fulfills them. Not me. Can't stand it, hate it, have no interest in it. I want to create something and I want to know, because I've created it, it's what I wanted, and literally I've created what I wanted to create, and if I don't get there, then I'm going to know I didn't get there. Sometimes you work with people who, of course, people are their own entity, so in a realistic world of what I'm saying there is you want to get people in who they work with you, in that you both bring something to the party and there's a give and take. So when you're creating an idea, you don't have a set idea that is completely set in stone, because that is really going to frustrate, because no, like I said earlier, people can't read your mind. They don't understand the vision. Mood boards, no matter how much you speak to them, they are not going to understand the exact nuance and how you picture it in your mind, and you're going to be disappointed. You want them to add their personality. You want to work with people and muses and people you know who are good, who up here, posted down here, who are going to bring something to the project that you didn't even envision, that makes it better, that you can work alongside and you can go, yes. And then when it comes to concluding that you've got your vision, your creative ideas is all there, but it's grown even bigger and better than what you wanted because they've elevated it. That's the people you want to be working with, people who elevate what it is you're trying to achieve. Because if they're not elevating what you're trying to achieve and you're pulling teeth to try and get it to work, then you are literally doing all the work. What they bring into the table, it's just someone standing in front of the camera, and that's no good to no one. It goes back to arguments about there's models and then there's models. A model can elevate what it is you're trying to achieve and make it better. A model is someone who thinks they just deserve to be paid for standing in front of a camera, and they don't, let's be honest. So yeah, I rambled on this one. I didn't even know where it was going. I just kind of make these confessions up as I go along if people ask a question. So yeah, ask questions. Let me know if there's anything weird, quirky, relatable, unrelatable that you want to know about in the comments. Tell me about it and I'll give you my opinion on it. I like doing these kind of philosophical things. It's kind of what I do on Patreon, as I like to explore philosophical, psychological things to do with photography. You can join me on Patreon if you like. It's a small fee to read the main blogs about the portrait shoots I do and where I ramble typically like this. And then there's a lot of there's a free tier which just covers a lot of news and general posts. If I go to Japan or Barcelona, I will post blogs about that, because I don't consider myself a traveller photographer, so I just post a story of that up and the pictures. And then when it comes to actual shoots I've done, that 90% of them will be shoots that I wanted to achieve, that were my visions. I talk about those visions, I talk about how we got there, what I enjoyed about it, what I don't enjoy about it, the psychology of how other people may react to it, second guessing stuff like that. That is my vibe, that's what I like. So yes, please, if you want to get involved with a question that I can deal with in a confession, where I will just ramble kind of like this and talk on my opinions, like literally today's was guys that go on forums and are like, I only shoot women, and how that's not as negative as you may think it is, unless you put it in the right context, where it's with a GWC, a guy with a camera, rather than just someone who prefers the aesthetics of a female in front of their lens. It's not that big of a deal. So yeah, I've got some more things written down here. I don't know how many more confessions I get through, so I definitely need your help. Get them in the comments. Peace.